some other kind of weather happening and notorious weather here in South Louisiana, but instead we get a nice treat for a lot of us: lower humidity, a break in temperatures. We do actually have dew points in the 60s right now. You may have felt a very slight change in the feels like kind of air quality out there. Our temperature at 93 or feels like 97. It could be worse easily. So humidity has come down a touch from a little weak frontal system that's made it south of our coast now. But we are expecting tomorrow as a sort of transition day. Still hot, kind of like today, not quite as muggy, and then by late Tuesday and more so Wednesday and beyond, we get that dip in humidity and temperatures, and we have Tropical Storm Fernand way out there in the Atlantic and not forecast to affect land and probably not even strengthen all that much. So I'll show you that in a second. Our temperatures right now in the 90s. I showed you those highs earlier in the middle 90s, and as we look at our feels like temperatures, they're up to about 100 or so, or two hot spots that tend to run a little higher in the triple digits, but elsewhere we're looking at that feels like temperature in the 90s for most of our locations, and dew point temperatures have come down a little bit. Now remember, when you look at the dew point scale, it's a measure of humidity. It's the temperature at which the air would become, when you would see condensation happen from the water droplets in the air. So in the 70s, that's that really oppressive feel. When you get into the 60s, it's still humid like today, but not quite as bad, especially maybe mornings and evenings, or if you can find some shade. And then when you get into the 50s, that's some really nice dry feeling air, and much cooler and drier weather usually accompanies these kind of dew points for our area. We see those in the winter. Satellite and radar showing how quiet things are. We have one tiny shower just on the coast, and we have a couple of showers and storms outside of Mobile, and that's about it. Looking at precision cast, again, you saw that front to the south. That one very weak has passed through. Here's one starting to move through very slowly tomorrow. I have a very slight chance for a shower or two tomorrow at 10% or so. In fact, most of this week, we're not really looking for a higher rain chance than about 10 or 20%. Then the front starts to move even farther south, and I've paused it here Wednesday morning with high pressure starting to guide this farther south and starting to bring in that drier air with dew point temperatures maybe as low as about 60, at least in some spots. You can see this is by tomorrow afternoon. You can see heading into Tuesday afternoon, dew points, look at this, at Hattiesburg might be nice and dry in the 50s. We'll be right on the fringes of some of that drier feeling air, but we should be able to feel it. And look at this, by Wednesday, still dew points in the 60s, and if we can catch it at certain times of the day, they might have dropped a little bit more toward that 60-degree mark for the dew point temperature. Our air temperatures are still expected about 90, but this is just kind of the first tiny little hint of that nice drier kind of fall feel. Not a true fall cold front, but I think we'll take what we can get at this point in the year. Tonight, a little less muggy, temperatures north and south in the 70s for lows, and then our highs tomorrow about 95 or so, still 94, 95, feeling like upper 90s, and then we get that break in the humidity later in the week. In the tropics, we have Tropical Storm Fernand. This is Bermuda. This is the center of the tropical storm as of Sunday evening. So it's way to the east of Bermuda, and it is forecast to continue north and northeast. This is not a really significant system. It may strengthen a little bit, but it's really struggled today. Only 45-mile-per-hour winds, a few higher gusts, not a very big storm. There is some warm water, so it may strengthen a bit, but then it will reach sheer and cooler waters as it moves farther north. And by Wednesday, this may no longer be a tropical system. There's one other spot. It has a low chance of development. And in fact, the National Hurricane Center nudged the chance up a little yesterday, and then they brought it back down today because it's just not looking like this is really going to have a chance to organize a lot. Messy, a low pressure system. Here is a tropical wave starting to show a little more organization. Tropical models have it kind of fizzling out here somewhere in the middle part of the Caribbean with more wind shear and some dry air to fight. A couple bring it farther over to the west, over into Central America. So our hurricane season so far, 6 named storms. The average is 5. And the ACE, the energy, 36. The average is 2. So above average for the ACE at this point in a season. A whole season on average has 122 for the ACE. 7-day forecast shows the temperatures mercifully coming down. Highs about 90 most days this week. And those low temperatures on the North Shore may skirt the upper 60s. So a nice dry morning kind of feel north of Lake Pontchartrain.